Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey, I'm going to tell you a quick story. It's short and it's sweet. I'm going to tell you a story of how I got into web development. So, I made a little short slide, and so this is my story. So, if I can get the thing to go to the next slide. There we go. All right, so here's where it started. So, pretty much way back when I was just starting and I was getting into a lot of internet marketing. And so I was trying to make money online, and I was a young whippersnapper. And at some point, it didn't dawn on me that I could take my skills about how to create WordPress sites, because I was doing marketing. You have to create WordPress sites for blogs and all that, right? So I'd create WordPress sites. I'd set them up. I use a template, and that is where you see here is the first website I've ever done on WordPress for paid clients. A guy paid me like $300, and at that time it was like, whoa, I'm getting paid $300. So that's pretty much where that started. And then from there, I had some SEO success. So after some time, I started developing more WordPress sites because I was trying to still do marketing, and then I was thinking of like a niche-based business. So I did some research. I had a coach, and he kind of coached me along on how to do SEO. And so I was creating this niche-based site. And so Evo Mitsubishi was that first site. And so as you can see here, I had this page ranked #1 above Mitsubishi. And it was, people were coming to the site, and then people were subscribing right there. Like, yes, I want to get this free kick asphalt Evo guide. I was learning like writing and copywriting and trying to kind of put together web development and marketing together, right? So, and I knew in order for me to make use of web development, I had to, learn how to market and how to sell with writing. So I got pretty much 2 to 3 subscribers a day on this site here, and unfortunately, it didn't really lead to too much money because I didn't really have anything to sell them. I wasn't selling the car, but it ended up being a successful project for what it was. Now this one was when I started really trying to learn how to sell in my writing. Like, how do I write more engaging? How do I write things where people comment on? And this is at the time where WordPress, where it was kind of shifting away from forums to now like commenting in blogs and YouTube and things like that. So this is where I had a WordPress blog, and then I started writing and testing out headlines, and then I actually started marketing my content. Because before, I would market and I would never get any comments because nobody would visit the site. They had no reason. They didn't know anything about me. So it's not until I started marketing my articles into relevant groups. I would post a link, I would join the group, and I would post a link, and I would engage with people. And then I ended up having a guest blog onto a very successful business consultant website. And from there, that got picked up. And then, as you can see, I got 12 comments, and it was very, for me, it was successful, right? It wasn't like huge, big deal, but that was like when I first started getting success. So now I have web development for the WordPress, and now some marketing was kind of joining together now. And then from there, I failed. And so it's not my actual bank account, but pretty much I just ran out of money. And then not only that, I was just kind of in a weird space. Like, I just wasn't approaching this whole thing from a right angle. Like, really, when people come to my sites, in both of those cases, I didn't really have anything to offer, something that wasn't like me. So from there, I just kind of shuffled up, and then, you know what? I always kind of I was curious about IT, but I thought now was like a really good time now to focus on IT. Actually, mainly because I had a conversation with somebody in our community, and it was kind of a really emotional, like a rock bottom, kind of conversation. And so from that moment, he brought to my attention this program, and in this program was where the city of Culver City in Los Angeles, California, was putting on this grant. This is, I think it was $2 million grant or $6 million grant, where they were providing free training programs for people who wanted to get a CCNA certificate with Cisco. If you don't know what that is, it's basically what I have is a picture here. Like you basically are managing switches, cabling, and it was heard to be a really good job. And so I was like, man, okay, let me just go on this job because now I'm expecting a baby and all that. So now I have to really put that focus on there. So from there, I really started learning coding basics. And so that coding basics, I started learning like, you know what? I know WordPress, but I don't really know like the technical side to it, right? So I started learning HTML, CSS. I created a number of little projects, little HTML, CSS things that are so embarrassing to look at now, right? And then JavaScript, I created this little JavaScript reactor program where the little thing would move and you had to click it and it would appear in a different spot and you had to click it again. I can't even find where that stuff is. I kind of like, man, I wish I had that stuff to show you, but I can't even find it. And honestly, if I found it, I'd be so embarrassed, but it was that where I started learning JavaScript interaction and kind of like get documents and on click, do this. And Bootstrap is kind of where had a hard time thinking of design a framework, but from a web development standpoint, it was kind of a weird thing. I didn't really know design, like graphical design that well. So Bootstrap kind of helped me to put, a framework, a nice thing to work with. Nice buttons and fields and the kind of radius between the borders and all that. So then I learned, I also went to school. So you see it there, I went to University of Phoenix around this time. And at this time I was working as an IT help desk technician, working enterprise help desk. So I was working help desk for employees who were, very highly educated. So it wasn't the same kind of help desk that you get when you call like stamps.com, for example, So these people are really educated. They're working with very sophisticated softwares. And so it was very intimidating at first. But after a while, it just started making sense. So while I was doing that, I was also going to school. And then from going to school, I was learning visual code IDEs. I was learning JavaScript. JavaScript. I was learning Java, which I kind of liked. C# and C++ is what I really liked. I liked those. And then PHP and MySQL, a little bit of PHP, not that much. I don't really like PHP, even though I was doing WordPress. I didn't really work with PHP that well. And that much, I don't know, I don't like it. And then MySQL, I kind of didn't like that either, right? So those two work together. But anyway, I learned it. I started programming in it a little bit, and then I just learned the basics about it. So from there, actually, how'd that go from there to there? Oh yeah, so from there, I took on this really big nonprofit project, and it became pretty successful in the fact that over here to the left that you see is, it's not really the real website. I was going to think of creating a separate, case study thing where I go into a little bit more detail about what I actually did. So I was thinking of creating a separate case study because there's so much to say about that. I have so much more skills on top of what I just showed you. This is where I started getting into Webflow, that was taken over by CSS, HTML and CSS. I started really focusing and learning color psychology, typography, layout, design layout, and I started learning things very professionally, and I started thinking about web development from a completely different aspect of things, and I was able to output a pretty high quality product using Webflow and using my knowledge with my previous coding skills, so I can just implement custom code inside of some of their workflows. So as you can see in the screenshot, you see 60K. So $60,000 is pretty much the targeted donation amount that the whole rebuilding of the website was targeted for. And they actually reached that within 1 year's time, which was pretty successful, right? And so today it's still going up, like the actual numbers and stuff still going up, and it's all automated. At first people had to call to make a donation, and then there was this weird scenario where the bank didn't quite trust you if you made a donation over a certain amount. Now that's all automated. It's using Stripe, and Stripe can handle pretty much a large sum of cash. They'll transfer it, and then they'll call you later and say, hey, we transferred a whole bunch of cash. Are you sure you're not selling drugs? And that's pretty much it, but you still get the actual money. So that's pretty much it. That is pretty much how I got into web development. I can do later on. I'll show you how, I'll talk about a little bit more about different projects that I'm doing and some other interesting interactions and things I think you might find interesting and helpful as a small business person, as a developer, designer, or as a designer team or organization looking for somebody like me to help, who knows a little bit more about what they're doing, and to kind of help you with some business workflows and maybe some design problems and whatever else you think you might need. So that's pretty much my story. Peace.